Hi everyone, Ian O'Brien here today, and I'm joined by Joe Eddington. And Joe started learning to play the guitar and working with me on his guitar playing. It's been a couple of years now. He's had a really good journey, covered quite a lot of ground, and some different things that come up on his journey, which I wanted to share with you guys. He's made some great progress, so we're going to sit down and talk about that today. So thanks for joining me, Joe. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Cool. And let's start with what way back, what was your couple of years ago? What was your motivation for wanting to learn to play the guitar?
Right, I've always wanted to learn guitar since I was a early 20s, I suppose, and I actually bought a guitar um, when I was about 23, and followed. I think it was a radio program by somebody called Ulf Garrison or something, um, and made some progress, but not a great deal. Some years later, the BBC started a course called Hold Down a Chord, which was radio mainly and television, I think, and that worked out a lot better. But again, you were working individually, and not as systematically because I was working hard and not practicing enough. So I did manage to sing a few songs as kids um, before it was put away in the attic for another few years when I joined a adult education course. But the people who were on the course, they're all self-selected, and although it's a beginner's course, a lot of the people on it clearly weren't beginners, and I very rapidly got left behind. But my inspiration at that time, back in the 70s, early 70s, was folk music. And the group, the Irish group Dubliners, had a lot of influence on me. I wasn't as inspired by pop music back after about 1975, I don't think, to the extent that one of the songs which we've learnt called Peaceful Easy Feeling by the Eagles, I learnt it in the choir a few years ago. And the chap running the choir had his guitar. He said, now everybody knows his song, Peaceful Easy Feeling. I said, no, not me. He said, it's by the Eagles. And I said, who are the Eagles? Anyway, it was very nice to get this song because I know the words. But yeah, and yeah, there are other stories of that sort I can tell you, but I've always been interested. I've been to folk festivals and I've always been interested in the accessibility of folk music, the fact that there's not much between you and the performer. There's not much electronics between you and the performer. And it just seemed very accessible. And it's something I always wanted to be able to join in with. So there's always been a desire, and you filled that for me with the course that we've been doing for the last 2 years and a bit. So,
Cool. Oh, fantastic. And whereabouts were you with your guitar playing, say 2 years ago when we started working
well,
together?
I had to start again basically because I remembered a few of the open chords which I'd learned before, and so where was I? Well, I really had the Django chord system was really good because it got me making music again, and it meant that I could actually fret chords and make a sound which sounded a bit better than a squeaky spring. Um,
Cool, fair enough. And what was your experience like working together then during the program over the last couple of years?
the thing is that if we go to the lessons, I find that always very accessible. That I can. We played a song. You played a song that you said you were going to do, and you published the music which I've printed off, and it's a very good experience. Initially, I was impatient. I thought, I don't want to play every chord, just one string. And then later on, I realised how good it was to actually just play one note of a chord. As I thought it was too slow to start with. I wanted to get into it and apply the rhythm straight away. I was trying to go faster than I should have done. When it gets to the end and you do the playthroughs, I appreciate that we're doing quite slow beats per minute to start with. I can usually pretty well manage the slower ones. And what I've learned is that some of the songs sound quite nice slow.
Yeah, they certainly do. They certainly do. And it's, yeah, like you said, like we start with not strumming full on at the beginning. We're just focused on the chords, one strum for each chord. And sometimes we want to get that pretty consistent, and then we bring in the rhythm, don't we? And focus on it there. But when we're playing the songs themselves, we start at a much slower pace to get comfortable with bringing the whole thing together. And they sound fantastic like that. A lot of the songs, some of the songs are faster or slower than they seem like they would be as well. Like we did a lesson recently on what was it, on Blackbird by the Beatles, and when I think of that song, I don't think of it being really fast because it's mellow, acoustic, but when you look at the actual speed of it, it's pretty fast. But if we take it a bit slower, it's, it can work really, really well.
Yeah.
Cool.
Very often songs which I think I knew, and I think, well, that's a slow one. Fields of Gold. That actually goes faster. The beats per minute are faster than I remember it. But it doesn't matter if I'm playing it slowly or at my speed. It still sounds very nice song. And Streets of London again is another one which goes faster than I think it's going to go. So I think your approach to all these different strands of getting to play a song are very helpful, and it's what I keep coming back for. Really, is that it's nice to try something new each week, practice it, and get to a certain level. They're not all going to be concert performances within a week, and that's why they're all printed off and in a file, so that I can flick through them when I come up to do a practice every evening.
Fantastic! You've got quite a collection of the music and stuff so far.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Most of it's in files like this, so the rest of it's in a file like that. So
that's pretty.
I don't know how many songs are in that one, but they're all the ones you've been doing over the last few weeks, and they accumulate very rapidly.
Yeah, so there's always the option of doing it online, but it is nice to have the sheet, isn't it? A lot of my students like to print them out and lay them out in front. But do you remember the first song that you learned to play?
Well, it was King of the Road. King of the Road. Partly because I remembered the words from a long way back, and that's always if you know how the song goes, it helps you when you're learning it. The other one which I liked at the start was Heartbeat, Buddy Holly's. Is it Buddy Holly? Can't remember now.
Yeah, Buddy Holly.
Again, I thought I knew all the words to that, and that was helpful. So those, and then later on, when I went to the open chord system, I enjoyed songs like Fields of Gold, Streets of London, and that Where Do You Go To, My Lovely, When You're Alone in Your Bed. I don't know what that song's called at the moment. The other thing is, this is a big education, because after the 1970s, I didn't actually listen to much pop music. My sons did, of course, But I was unaware of a lot of people, so I didn't know the Eagles, so it was nice to play peaceful, easy feeling with this course. Yes, so you've introduced me to a lot of songs, and a lot of them I really like and want to listen to the artist, listen to other work of the artists that you've introduced me to. So you're educating me, not just in playing guitar, but in pop culture. And
fair enough. It happens to me as well, like because the songs are chosen by my students, so there are songs that in bands and stuff that I've never heard of that come up, and for some people they love them and they've known about them for years. Like one of them recently that I really like I listened to him in the car a lot, was John Prine, and
oh yes,
I'd never heard of I'd heard his name, but I'd never heard his music, and I knew there was a lot of love for him.
but
And so I've really got into his stuff.
well, that's a very good song again. That you did it. For me, it's accessible because the chords are relatively straightforward, and the rhythm is straightforward.
Yeah.
If I remember rightly.
If he's strumming, yes, he can be quite intricate with the picking.
Oh yeah.
I wondered if you knew how many songs you'd learnt to play so far.
I've copied off 100 songs in music, and the music that you put up for the lessons. And I wouldn't claim to be able to play 100 songs. I would, and I'm waffling because I don't really know. I think I could make a good attempt at about 30 songs, but still very good songs anyway, and sound nice when I do them. So I would say 30. I should have counted before I started, but
it's fine. Cool.
But I say the other thing is that if I got these, I can dip into them, and there's always something I can do, and you come up to either a difficult rhythm or a different technique, like hammering on, and some of the more complex chords. I have to go to your lessons to have them explained, and they're often not as complex as I thought they were going to be. I was doing C7 this morning, and suddenly found that it was actually quite an easy chord to play, and it's easy to access from C and easy to access from A minor. And very often some of the chords look really, when written down, F minor, something 7 or 9, a string of letters and symbols, and you think that's going to be difficult. And then you just find you put your fourth finger down, and
yeah, that's it. Absolutely. Some of the chords with the longer names and the unusual names, they are straightforward to do, and the person's arrived at them from sort of moving their fingers around in quite a natural way.
Yeah.
In terms of like the different colors of the levels and things like that, you started on white pick level with the Django chord system quite a way back. You mentioned you've done the open chord anchor system and stuff like that, which is the next level, yellow pick. Where are you in terms of level at the moment?
I play orange pick as much as I can. Sometimes, well, I'll usually start, if you've got a yellow pick version, I'll start with the yellow pick, and then I progress fairly rapidly to the orange pick. That's quite good. One of the things which I have slight difficulty with, and that is if there are two or more chords within the same bar. So I think it's Fields of Gold. You have one chord in the first three, down, up, down, and then the end of the bar contains another 5, and that change took me some time time to get right. And sometimes you've got 3 chords.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's difficult to decide, is this last chord, am I strumming up or am I strumming down? And then but you explain it in your lessons, and in the mentoring course, I've asked on a few occasions, where do I stick this A at the end of this bar? And you say, well, that's you explain, and it's easier. It's important, I think, the personal connection, the fact that you're available on guitar learning questions, you're available on the mentorship calls, and of course you're also available on the lessons itself, because we can ask you questions as the lesson goes on. And I think it's that personal approach, that availability, which makes it much nicer for the student.
That's really good progress, like going all the way through the white pick level, learning songs at that level, yellow pick level, songs at that level, and doing a number of songs at orange pick level as well. It's quite there's a lot of depth there. What does your practice look like? Like how many times are you picking the guitar up a week, and how long do you pick it up for?
It's every day. Sometimes on Saturday I get busy doing other things, but because I've missed one on Saturday, I'll do an extra one on Sunday, and and it's usually at least 3/4 of an hour, and it's very, very often over an hour. If I get absolutely absorbed in something, it can be hour and a quarter, hour and a half. But on average, I would say 3/4 of an hour a day. And what does it look like? Generally, if we've done a song on Thursday, fairly soon, Friday or Sunday, I want to pick it up again and see whether I can improve, get over the difficult bits, the things I've found difficulty in the lesson. And yes, I've practiced the awkward bits. Rhythms I've been practicing a lot because for some reason or other, even although your course covers the different strumming patterns very, very well indeed, for some reason or other, I've got a bit of a block about rhythms. So that's why I asked you a lot of questions. And sometimes I played you things, and you said, yes, that's very good, but this is in the 4/4 time, or this is 4 beats of the bar, and you've got 5 in there somehow.
Sometimes you are doing more advanced rhythms than the rhythm is, and it's sometimes like a reimagining of how it is. Like you've got a different idea of it, and the idea you're doing is relatively sophisticated. And yeah, it's just tweaking some of those sometimes, definitely. But that's a decent amount of progress, like, and for a good period of time, like consistency it's really great. Would you you've talked different parts about the program and things like that, and my teaching and the calls and things. Would you recommend my teaching to other people?
Oh yes, I have, and I don't know whether anybody has taken it up, but a friend told me that he was learning guitar, and I asked how he was doing it, and he said, "I'll just go to YouTube and copy what's happening." There's various things people will say, and I said, "Oh, I couldn't do that." I said, I need a proper course, and one which I find accessible in all respects. I said, I've got to like the songs. I've got to like the songs, and I've got to feel I can approach the teacher. And I said, strangely, this online course works really well because the because you feel that the teacher is accessible, and he makes himself available. And I think that's very important. I think having a one-to-one lesson with a local teacher, I don't think you could probably cover as much ground as we do. This I find it's much easier, and to set yourself a pattern during the day, set yourself a pattern that it doesn't matter what else is going on. Try and get in your practice, and that's good. The other thing is don't be put off by, if you get the guitar out and play to a relative or friend, don't be put off because they all become the expert. I find you get you get people who will say, "Oh yeah, but you ought to try this, you ought to try that," and you say, "Look, I'm just playing this song. I don't want your criticism. I don't want any constructive stuff from you or what you think is constructive. This is just for enjoyment, and it's your function, Ian, to tell me how to do it properly, and you have a way of telling it in a very nice way. That you're very good at telling us the good things we do, and you're very good at getting us to correct the things which are going a bit awry, and I think that's good. So I have attempted to play to family and friends in very small groups, one or two of them, and it's something which I'd like to do again. But I decided that I'll have to find a way of nodding and saying, "Yeah, right, well, let's move to another song," or something, instead of listening to their advice. I'm not a loner as such, but independent.
Yeah, no, fair enough. You know what you're doing and why you're doing it. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you get unsolicited advice, and you're just trying to show somebody what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, you're enjoying it. That's the main thing.
Well, that's good. So my plan for this weekend is that my friends from university days are coming down, and we used to sing a song, "The Leaving of Liverpool," and I found it online, and I'm going to attempt it.
Yeah, that's a great one. Lovely.
And they will be very polite. Otherwise, they won't have a bed for the night.
There we go. Yeah, you can set the terms in advance so that they know the conditions.
Anything else you want to ask me?
I wondered if you had any advice for somebody who's learning to play guitar in the early stages, that kind of stuff.
Well, I think first of all is try and be consistent with practice, and even if you only play the guitar for a very short time, try and do it every day. Secondly, don't put your guitar back in the cupboard. Leave it out where you can pick it up. Thirdly, don't be put off by the barriers you come across. There are barriers which we all meet. It's the awkward chord change. It's the awkward rhythm. It's a new technique which we haven't quite got hold of. The thing is just to go back to it same day or the next day and just keep doing it, and remember why you're doing it, and it's you're enjoying the music. Some days I'm playing and my guitar, and it's always a guitar's fault, sounds really rough. Other days I think that's really beautiful. That's a lovely, those chord changes, the tone of my guitar is brilliant. And I don't know what the difference is. It must be the atmospheric pressure or something. But the thing is, don't be put off by barriers. These, with practice and a bit of persistence, can be overcome. And don't be put off by other people's criticism. generally don't know what they're talking about. I can't think of anything else to say. All I can say is that the other thing is that the keep up with the lessons each week. If you can, put questions to Ian, either through mentorship or through the guitar learning questions. And I said, look at what other people say and watch other people's examples on the videos they post, because it feels like a community then, and you don't feel as if you're doing it all by yourself, which I'm sorry, I'm a bit long-winded at times.
Joe, that's some really great advice. I mean, the stuff you're saying at the beginning about, performance situations, the hurdles that come up, like how to, having a guitar right in front of you, like that's really great advice. Thanks for saying that stuff. Like, I think it's really important, and it comes from experience, which is it's the important thing. Yeah, lovely stuff. Thanks for doing this interview, Joe. I really appreciate it, and
Well,
looking forward to more.
it's a pleasure. It's been a pleasure doing it. It's been a pleasure doing your courses over the last couple of years, and I think that made more progress. Well, I think I made more progress in the first 6 months than I had at my previous attempts at playing guitar. So, yeah, and my wife downstairs will often remark, it sounded really good. And I think, yes, that's where I ought to have my audience. They all ought to be downstairs while I'm playing up here, when they can. Well, thank you very much, and I'll let you get off and have your lunch.
You're very welcome. That sounds like a great plan. Cool. Take care, Joe. I'll speak to you soon.
Right. Bye.